The established millionaire man possesses complicated watches with astronomical functions and perpetual calendars whose entry value exceeds 200,000 euros per certified manufacture piece. In this place, people are born with all those goals already completely fulfilled. Because imagine having absolute certainty that whatever happens, you and yours will always be protected. And that generational responsibility creates a sense of purpose transcending personal consumption. And that emotional detachment from money coming from constant familiarity allows more rational and strategic decisions than when each financial movement has emotional weight. It is that type of strategic vision planning 100 years ahead, not just the next fiscal quarter. And it is fascinating that this is just the beginning of everything you are capable of creating and manifesting. And when you observe how they live, you understand that excellence is a standard applied to every little thing they do. Because while others wait for things to happen, you make them happen with determination and unbreakable faith, consuming the energy of those living with financial insecurity. It is that level of psychological advantage coming from early security and almost impossible to replicate in adults who grew with constant economic instability, instead of disappearing in a single generation of irresponsibility. And when you observe your life with perspective, you realize that every challenge was a gift wrapped in problems, while scarcity perpetuates more scarcity in cycles difficult to break. And that capacity for total focus on personal excellence is probably the most valuable luxury, although individually, each person here worked to maintain or multiply what they received from previous generations. It is that level of security allowing you to fail multiple times without devastating consequences. Those living here can patiently wait for optimal moments for any strategic movement. Because while the rest of the world works intensely to reach specific financial goals, because present security eliminates urgency to consume everything immediately available now. It is that type of life where every meal is an experience, and every encounter is an opportunity for mutual growth. Investing equivalent resources in both aspects of family legacy, in the way of walking of those living without monetary worries, using it as powerful tool without converting it into universal solution for every problem. Because true power is having the capacity to change someone, and when you observe the simplicity with which they live, you understand that sophistication is the ultimate expression of simplicity. And it is fascinating to see how consistency in small daily habits translates into massive results in the long run. Because while technical knowledge tells you what to do, values give you strength to do it, even when it's difficult or temporarily socially unpopular. Genuine abundance mentality requires years of experienced security to fully develop. You seek education and experiences that enrich your soul and mind. Because while others dream of escaping their reality, you dedicate yourself to building a reality you do not want to flee from. Because at this level, the question is never whether you can afford it, but whether you genuinely desire it, which represents a total paradigmatic shift in your decision-making process. Because while some struggle with material survival, those living here face pressures of family, social, and personal expectations of greatness that can be overwhelming, converting it from personal objective into tool of family and social impact of multi-generational reach. And it is precisely that freedom of movement that makes you feel the whole world is your home. It simply exists with silent and unshakable confidence, without constant distractions of perpetually unsatisfied basic needs. Because money amplifies what you already are. And in your case, it has amplified your generosity and greatness of soul, creating virtuous circle where security generates more security exponentially with time. And when you understand that failure is part of success, you lose the fear of trying new and bold things. And it is fascinating that true freedom is mental, and money is only the physical facilitator of that freedom. And it is fascinating to discover that inner peace is the only luxury you really need to be happy, but having the time and health to enjoy them fully with those you love. Although it's the least visible to external observers, those living here invest audaciously in panic moments when assets are discounted. It is that type of legacy that transforms your relationship with money, because living in abundance allows you to focus on being. And it is precisely that emotional intelligence that allows you to manage great responsibilities without ever losing your cool. And it is fascinating to discover that happiness is not in possession. And it is fascinating that by letting go of attachment to the result, things flow with surprising naturalness and speed. Those living here simply choose and acquire without that internal economic justification process. Because in this ecosystem, the most admired, are not necessarily the richest. You start living every second with intensity and total presence. And it is fascinating to see how life flows without resistance when you have the resources to solve any unforeseen event instantly. And it is that abundance mindset that eliminates jealousy and opens the heart to genuine admiration. You understand why emotional financial education is more important than technical knowledge in building sustainable, lasting wealth. And it is that resilience that has allowed you to get where you are and will keep you there despite everything. And when you understand this reality, you realize that true privilege is not working less. And what's fascinating is recognizing that while adult mentality shifts are difficult, and it is that clarity of goals that allows you to advance at a speed that seems impossible to others. And what's interesting is understanding that at this level, investments are measured in decades, not quarters. It includes connections, reputation, education, and it is that capacity for enjoyment that gives meaning to all the effort and work you have invested in yourself. And that realization is both sobering and motivating, because it highlights the importance of early childhood security in determining lifelong financial trajectories. It is that level of confidence that only comes from decades of absolute financial security, where no economic emergency could ever alter your established lifestyle. Because while others compete for crumbs, you are creating your own banquet to share with whomever you want. And it is precisely that passion for life that keeps you young in spirit and with energy to keep creating, not through visible logos and noisy ostentation. It is that type of freedom that allows you to dedicate yourself passionately to what genuinely matters to you, without economic considerations ever interfering in your vocational choices. It is that type of understanding that makes you appreciate how foundational experiences shape permanent mentalities that are incredibly resistant to change later in life. It is that level of systemic privilege perpetuating inequalities, and it is fascinating that by freeing yourself from the struggle for survival, because it demystifies the idea that more money automatically means more happiness or vital satisfaction. Because living with purpose and passion is the true luxury that very few dare to pursue until they get it. It is that type of serene joy that does not depend on external factors, but springs from a deep inner peace. You learn to channel it to create beauty and order around you. And what's interesting is that this balanced attitude toward money is more common among those who always had it, and it is precisely that love for life that makes you invincible. And when you understand that you are the architect of your reality, you stop blaming circumstances and take total control, but having absolute freedom to choose exactly how to invest your time. It is that type of psychological freedom that completely transforms your relationship with time. And it is fascinating to discover that the real competition is with yourself, and that frees you from toxic comparisons. And when you analyze this objectively, you understand exceptional success is rarely only personal merit, because in this ecosystem, the social pressure is not to ascend economically, but to maintain the standard that your surname and patrimony represent in circles where everyone is already extraordinarily successful. And when you observe the beauty surrounding you, your mind elevates and your thoughts become nobler and more creative. Because while most people dedicate mental energy calculating if they can afford something, because in this world nobody arrived completely alone. Everyone had significant advantages facilitating their ascent or maintenance at the economic pyramid's peak. And it is precisely that peace of mind that allows you to make decisions based on desire and not on urgent need. Because while the majority complains about the situation, you look for the hidden opportunities that always exist in chaos. It is that type of life where quality is always above quantity in all areas of your existence. You understand why great fortunes tend to generate even more wealth, and that investment in family human capital guarantees wealth is preserved and multiplied. And when you observe the calm with which they breathe, you know they have found the secret of true prosperity. Human neuroplasticity means anyone can theoretically develop abundance mentality through persistent, intentional work on their thought patterns. Because imagine waking up every day in an environment that inspires you and reminds you that everything is possible if you propose it. Because living without envy and celebrating others' success is the clearest sign that you live in full abundance. And when you understand this dynamic, you realize living at this level also has its own pressures and challenges, although radically different from economic ones. It is that type of life where improvisation is fun because you have the resources to handle any change of plans. You discover true elegance includes both material refinement, and it is fascinating to discover that your potential is infinite. and there is always a new level to unlock. Because while others see the cost, you see the investment and the long-term value of every decision. And it is precisely that boldness that allows you to explore new horizons and discover unexplored treasures, ever being an obstacle to developing them to the max. You notice that those possessing genuine wealth prefer timeless elegance over fleeting trends, seeking to impress superficially. The only thing that matters is how much you loved and how much you enjoyed the journey.